Today, we're going to see the story of a terrifying girl who, despite appearing ordinary, was actually a formidable gangster. One day, a dangerous mafia gang kidnaps her husband, but no one could have ever imagined the terrifying lengths this girl would go to save him. After watching this movie, I felt, if only I had a life partner like that, I could fearlessly do anything. So, let's stop with the pointless chatter and begin the story. The story opens with a girl named Emma waking up. Her sleep is often broken in the middle of the night because she dreams of her father, who died 12 years ago. When Emma was just 14, two gangsters killed her father right before her eyes. However, Emma had her father's friend kill those two men. Her father was actually a notorious mafia boss, and he had trained Emma in terrifying martial arts so she could protect herself in any situation. After her father's death, Emma was devastated and started taking a lot of drugs. This forced her into a rehab center. But after much effort, Emma has emerged from that dark life and now wants to live as a healthy, normal person. Anyway, a few years later, she falls in love with a boy named Tony, and then Emma marries him. Tony's family was very wealthy. His father had no shortage of money. However, Tony's father disliked Emma immensely. He knew Emma's father was a criminal, and Emma herself was an addict. But Tony convinced his father that Emma had changed for the better, and finally, Tony married her. A few days after the wedding, they go for their honeymoon to a beautiful island, where Tony's father owned a beautiful farmhouse. There, Tony shows Emma many memories from his childhood, and they both have a lot of fun exploring the entire island. Since Tony has no shortage of money, they have everything from private planes to speedboats, so they both have a great time. That evening, they both go to a restaurant, where they meet a tour guide named Lynn. Lynn tells them that this island is beautiful, and there's a type of zip line where you can swing from one mountain to another. He says they should definitely try it. Hearing all this, Tony gets very excited and says, "I always love exploring new things." Saying this, he books 2 advance tickets from Lynn for the next day. After that, Lynn takes them both to the most beautiful club on the island. As soon as Emma entered, she started dancing with her beloved. However, at that very moment, the island's biggest gangster, Don, was also present in the club. Within moments, Don's eyes fell on Emma. He liked her at first sight, so he got up and started dancing with Emma. Initially, Emma took it normally, but slowly she realized that Don's intentions were something else. Understanding everything, Tony pulled Emma towards him, and Don didn't like this at all, so he punched Tony. Seeing everything, Emma immediately went into action mode. She started beating Don's men very badly. Seeing all this, Lynn immediately got them both out of the club. While driving, Lynn told Emma, "You've beaten up the biggest gangster's men on this island. All the police here jump at their command, so never go to that club again after today." At the same time, impressed by Emma's fighting skills, she said, "I've never seen a girl fight so badly like this." Just then, Emma remembered her life story. Her father had worked day and night to make her a skilled fighter. Anyway, the next day, while Emma and Tony were spending time together, Lynn knocked on the door and said, "It's time for ziplining, you two need to get out." Upon reaching their destination, Tony became very excited because they had to go from one mountain to another by hanging on a rope. However, Emma was very scared seeing everything, so they first decided to hang on the shortest rope. First, Tony went from one end to the other and enjoyed it a lot. After that, Emma also managed to go from one side to the other. Then Tony decided to go on the biggest zip line there, which was 3 kilometers long. So to go on this big zip line, Tony set off first, and Emma was supposed to go after him. But after going some distance, Tony's rope broke, and he was left hanging there. Seeing this, Lynn went to save him, but she couldn't hold Tony's body weight, and poor Tony fell down. Seeing this, Emma immediately went down into the jungle to look for Tony, and after searching for a while, she found Tony bleeding below. But Tony's condition was very bad. So somehow, she brought Tony up, and by then, the ambulance had arrived. However, when Emma tried to get into the ambulance with Tony, those people stopped her and said, "According to our hospital's insurance policy, you cannot go with the patient." But as Emma insisted a lot, they gave her a card for their hospital and said, "You can come to this address." So, after that, Emma took a scooter and started following the ambulance. But the ambulance was moving very fast, and while following the ambulance, Emma met with an accident. Despite everything, she composed herself and reached the hospital a while later. However, when she inquired at the receptionist said that no one named Tony had been admitted there. Hearing this, Emma became very angry because the card in her hand was from that very hospital. The girl at the reception then said, "Perhaps your husband was taken to a nearby hospital." Emma then left and started searching for Tony in every nearby hospital, but she couldn't find him anywhere. Next, she rushed to the local police and filed a missing persons report for her husband. Meanwhile, hearing about their son's danger, Tony's parents also arrived on the island. They went to the police and inquired about their son. The police officer then informed them that the ambulance staff on this island are all dacoits because, under the guise of taking patients to the hospital, they kidnap them and demand a large sum of money from their families. However, since you haven't received any phone calls from the kidnappers yet, it means your case is a little different. So after that, they all went to meet Lynn. But seeing them, Lynn said, "I don't know anyone named Tony, and I don't know this girl either. They never came here." Suddenly seeing Lynn's changed behavior, Emma couldn't control herself and started hitting her. But the police officer told her, "You cannot beat a common person like this in my area." After this, the police officer took Emma to the police station and showed her the footage of the incident that happened at the club that day, saying, "You were intoxicated and beat up Don's men, but you didn't inform me about this." But Emma said, "I wasn't intoxicated, and I didn't just fight with them for no reason." The police officer then said, "Perhaps you yourself killed your husband so that you could own all of his property." Hearing this, Emma became extremely angry and said, "I don't need your help at all. I can investigate everything myself." But upon entering the house, Tony's father told her, "You killed my son out of greed for his property." Hearing him, Emma said, "I don't have an ounce of greed for your property. I just love your son." So the very next day, Tony's family left the island, and Emma stayed there alone. After that, she went to Lynn again, and, by mentioning the ziplining incident, skillfully trapped Lynn with her. In the middle of the road, she threatened to throw her off, and recorded all the truth from her on camera. Afterward, she showed that video to the police officer, but the police officer, in turn, told her, "You cannot torture anyone like this. I am arresting you for this crime." Immediately after this, a police officer took Emma and set off for headquarters. Midway, Emma tells him she needs to use the restroom. The officer goes with Emma to the restroom, but once there, Emma hits him badly and frees herself, jumping into the water. She then goes to a hotel to freshen up, and sets out again to find Tony. First, she goes to the nightclub, where she had the fight with Don. There, she encounters Lynn again. She takes Lynn to a restroom, and again demands to know the truth. Lynn then says, "I don't know anything about this. Someone kidnapped your husband before he even reached the hospital, so I was too scared to say anything to anyone. But I want to help you find your husband." The next day, Lynn takes Emma to a fighting club, where illegal chicken fighting is held. Lynn goes inside, looking for the ambulance driver, while Emma waits for him in the car. After a while, Emma sees the ambulance driver leaving. Seeing him, Emma follows him. After some time, she catches up to the man, and they have a fierce struggle. However, Emma eventually subdues the man and asks him everything. The man tells her, "My brother was with me in the ambulance that day. I dropped your husband outside the hospital and waited in the car. A while later, my brother returned with a lot of money in his hand, but I don't know where he got this money." After this, Emma goes straight to meet the ambulance driver's brother, but after going there, this man also doesn't tell her anything, so Emma, in a fit of rage, kills him. But the next day, the same police officer arrests her again and says, "You tortured 2 innocent people and even killed one. Besides, you killed your own husband out of greed for property, so I am arranging to send you to the most dangerous prison on this island." But Emma keeps telling him, "My husband is still alive, so you should let me go and look for him." Anyway, that night, the police officers take Emma in a car and set off. After going some distance, Emma realizes that she is being taken through a jungle road, meaning she will be encountered and killed there. Shortly after, the car stops, and the police start digging a pit in the ground. Meanwhile, Emma manages to free herself with great difficulty, and once outside, she kills the 2 policemen. After this, we see that police officer sleeping. Just then, Emma's call comes on his phone. Emma tells him to go to his daughter's room, or she will kill his daughter. So forced, the police officer takes his gun and goes there. But as soon as he goes there, Emma takes the gun from his hand. Then Emma asks him, "Do you know what happened to my husband? But you're not even trying to find him. Besides, you also tried to kill me, but who ordered you to do all this?" The police officer then says, "The hospital where your husband was taken after the accident is a friend of mine's hospital. Actually, your husband died there due to a doctor's mistake, and if this matter came out, my friend would be in big trouble. That's why I wanted to cover up your husband's case." Emma then says, "You are a bad cop. You have no right to live, so decide for yourself. Will you die here in front of your daughter or somewhere else?" The man, compelled, takes the knife Emma has and, after seeing his daughter for the last time, commits suicide. The next day, Emma tells Lynn everything and is heartbroken with grief over her husband's death. But she now wanted revenge on the hospital doctor, so she goes straight to that hospital. Upon arriving, she sees the receptionist who had lied to her that day. Emma goes to the girl, knocks her unconscious, and takes her card from her pocket. Afterward, Emma, dressed as a nurse, enters the hospital. Once inside, she apprehends the hospital doctor, the one the police officer had mentioned. Even after much torture, the doctor doesn't tell Emma anything. Instead, he shows her camera footage, where several goons are seen bringing Tony into the hospital in a wheelchair. This means Tony is still alive. Seeing this, Emma asks the doctor, "What is all this?" The doctor says, "I will tell you everything honestly, but we don't have time now. Do exactly as I tell you, or those people will kill your husband." A little while later, a man named Peter brings Tony to the hospital's underground. The doctor introduces Emma to Peter as his assistant. Peter immediately takes a great liking to Emma, even giving her his number. Anyway, after that, they all go to the operation theater, where the doctor takes bone marrow from Tony's spine and transplants it into Peter's body. Actually, Peter had cancer, and Tony's bone marrow perfectly matched Peter's. Knowing this, Peter had kidnapped Tony so that he could transfer all of Tony's bone marrow into his own body. And it was basically this doctor who told Peter about Tony. In return, he took a large sum of money from Peter. Seeing all this, Emma can no longer control herself, and she pulls out a hidden gun, points it at Peter, and starts leaving with Tony. However, while trying to exit, she has a brief shootout with Peter's men in the hospital corridor. But Emma kills everyone one by one and continues to move forward. At the last moment, Peter arrives there and catches both of them. However, Emma uses her wit and apprehends Peter, and she brings him inside the car. Peter then tells her, "You can take as much money as you want from me, but leave Tony with me because only your husband can cure my cancer." Hearing this, Emma, enraged, shoots Peter in the leg, and Peter falls out of the car. Immediately after, Peter and his gang start chasing Emma and Tony. Meanwhile, Lynn was already waiting for them. Lynn helps them onto a boat, and then a few boys standing nearby pull a rope to take them to the other side. But just then, Peter and his gang arrive and start shooting at them. However, Emma and Tony somehow manage to survive and reach the other side. After that, Peter searches for them and arrives at Lynn's house, but finding no one there, they beat Lynn badly. A little while later, Peter finds the bodies of his own men in one place, meaning Emma had killed all of them there. Enraged, Peter frantically searches for Emma everywhere. Soon after, Emma and Peter confront each other, and a fierce fight breaks out between them. At one point, Peter pulls out a knife he has, but Emma skillfully takes the knife from him and holds him hostage. However, just then, the police arrive, and along with them, the city's biggest gangster, Don, also arrives. Don tells Emma, "You won't kill this man, I will." Saying this, he tells the police to leave and tells the children to close their eyes. After this, Don slits Peter's throat and kills him right there. And he also frees Emma and Tony from there, because Don actually doesn't want to put any tourists in danger on his island, because they all survive on this island thanks to tourists. Besides, Don apologizes to Emma for the incident that happened at the nightclub that day. The next day, Lynn rents a boat for the two of them, and Emma and Tony bid Lynn farewell and set off for home from there. And at this moment, our story ends. So, friends, who wants a genius wife like Emma? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the story, don't forget to share it with your friends. To get more new stories like this, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. Bye-bye, take care.